Hello everyone, my name is Han Huyền Hương, lecturer of Faculty of Elementary Economics, Economics Department, Vietnam Maritime University. I am in charge of instructing you the subject of microeconomics this semester. So, I hope that we will have a very good time together. That's the end of my self-introduction. As you know, distant learning like what we are doing now is irresistible at present time when nCoV 2019 virus epidemic spreads out. I know that distant learning may not as funny and interesting as face-to-face learning, so we will try together, okay? My email is shown on the slide, so take it down if you want. In case of any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. I'm not sure to reply you immediately, but sure to reply you definitely. I'm not a professional streamer. I'm not good at computer science as well, and this record was made at my home. So please forget any unexpected noises outside, because I tried my best. Now, let me introduce you the structure of this subject. There are 5 chapters we have to learn together and 2 chapters you study yourself at home. Chapter 1, Overview. Chapter 2, Supply and Demand Theory and Market Equilibrium. Chapter 3, The Theory of Consumer Choice. Chapter 4, Theory of Production, and Chapter 5, Market Structures. Very clear, right? The next content is cost evaluation description. As you see on the slide, attention does not play a role in cost evaluation, but this part will decide whether you can go to the final term test or not. X2 is a multiple choice test, a class, and X3 is a topic paper. The average of X2 and X3 is X, which contributes 50% to your course evaluation. After you finish 15 weeks with me on the class, you will have a final term test. Final term test is a multiple choice test during 50 minutes, which contributes the other 50% to your course evaluation. There is a point I would like to underline you. All the scores need to be at least 4. Let's go for chapter 1. Overview of microeconomics. Do you notice that when you start learning any new subject, the first chapter is always overview? Because this chapter will give you a broad picture of what you are going to learn and what you will get when you finish. Like when people start reading a new book, most of them will read the table content first. Before going into chapter 1's detail, I would like to introduce you some learning materials as shown on the slide. Except from the material you get from our university, there is an interesting thing I would like to reveal you. There is the learning material on your hand right now is compared from the book named Principles of Economics by Professor Mankiv at Harvard University. Chapter 1's main content 1.1 Basic Definitions and 1.2 Principles of Economics. 1.1 Basic definitions have 4 sub-contents: definition of economics, classification of economics, economic factors, and factors of production. According to Professor Mankiv, there are 3 reasons you should learn economics. Firstly, economics helps you to understand the world you are living. Secondly, economics makes you become a wiser member in the economy. Thirdly, economics helps you to understand the abilities and limits of economics policies. The first definition you need to remember is the definition of economics. The word economy comes from a Greek word, oikonomos, which means one who manages a household. This origin seems to be peculiar at first, but in fact, households and economies have much in common. A household faces many decisions: who cooks dinner, who does laundry, who gets to choose what TV shows to watch. In brief, a household must allocate its core resources among various members, taking into account each member's ability, efforts, and desires. Like a household, a society faces many decisions. A society must find some way to decide what jobs will be done and who will do them. It needs some people to grow food, other people to make clothing, and still other people to design software. One society has allocated people as well as land, buildings, and machines to various jobs. It must allocate the output of the goods and services they produce. It must decide who will eat Kobe beef and who will eat Hao Hao instant noodle. It must decide who will drive a BMW and who will take the bus. Why society has to manage its resources? Because resources are scarce. What is scarcity? Scarcity means that society has limited resources and therefore cannot produce all goods and services people wish to have. Just as each member of a household cannot get everything she or he wants, each individual in a society cannot attain the highest standard of living to which he or she might aspire. Economics is the study of how society manages its scarce resources. In most societies, resources are allocated through the combined actions of millions of households and firms. Economists therefore study how people make decisions, how much they work, what they buy, how much they save, and how they invest their savings. Economists also study how people interact with one another. For instance, they examine how the multitude of buyers and sellers of a good together determine the price at which the good is sold and the quantity that is sold. Finally, economists analyze forces and trends that affect the economy as a whole, including the growth in average income, the fraction of the population that cannot find work, and the rate at which prices are rising. Now we will move to the second subcontent, classification of economics. Many subjects are studied on various levels. Consider biology, for example. Molecular biologists study the chemical compounds that make up living things. Cellular biologists study cells, which are made up of many chemical compounds and at the same time are building blocks of living organisms. Evolutionary biologists study the many varieties of animals and plants and how species change gradually over centuries. Economics can also study on various levels. We can study how individual households and firms make decisions, or we can study the interactions of households and firms in the markets for specific goods or services, or we can study the operation of the economy as a whole. According to the scope of study, economics can be divided into microeconomics, you are learning now, and macroeconomics, you will learn next semester. Microeconomics is the study of how households and firms make decisions and how they interact in the specific markets. On the other hand, macroeconomics is the study of economy-wide phenomena, including inflation, unemployment, and economic growth. Microeconomics and macroeconomics are closely intertwined because changes in the overall economy arises from the decisions of million households and firms. It is impossible to understand macroeconomics without understanding of associated microeconomics decisions. According to method of approach, we have positive analysis and normative analysis. Positive analysis describes the world as it is. Normative analysis prescribes how the world should be. For example, suppose that two people are discussing minimum wage law. Person A said, minimum wage law causes unemployment. Person B said, the government should raise the minimum wage. Which statement is positive analysis? Which statement is normative analysis? Obviously, statement A is positive analysis and statement B is normative analysis. I have more example for you. Which one of the following is the normative statement? A. Unemployment is higher this year than last year. B. Unemployment will rise. C. Economists predict that unemployment will rise. D. Raising taxes will cause unemployment to rise. And E. The government should cut taxes and therefore reduce unemployment. The answer is E. So, after doing some examples, are you clear about positive analysis and normative analysis? The answer is yes, right. Let's turn to the part of economic factors. As you see on the slide, there are three economic factors, which are households, firms, and governments. The important point is, what are the targets of economic factors in the economy? Have you ever gone shopping without worrying about money? That means you pick anything you like ignoring prices because you have unlimited amount of money. Have you? The answer is no, right? So why we have to concern about price when we go shopping? It is because the amount of money we have is limited. Households target at maximizing benefit when buying goods and services in the market, while be bound by limited budget. How about another factor, firms? What is their target in the economy? Firms produce goods and services, then sell what they have produced and get back money. The amount of money they get back when selling goods and services after subtracting costs is called profit. How about governments? Governments target at maximizing social welfare. What is social welfare? Social welfare is the total welfare of all members in the society. We have the circular flow diagram that shows the relationship between households and firms. Households and firms interact in two types of markets: markets for goods and services and markets for factors of production. Firms produce and sell goods and services. At the same time, high and use factors of production, such as labor, land, and capital. Households buy and consume goods and services, while own and sell factors of production. The red arrow shows the flow of inputs and outputs. The green arrow shows the flow of money. In the markets for goods and services, firms will sell and households will buy. Spending of households will become firms' revenue. In the markets for factors of production, households will sell and firms will buy. Firms' costs will become households' income. Can economic factors always maximize their benefits? Yes or no? The answer is no, because resources are scarce. Don't forget that economics is the study of how society manages its scarce resources. The last subcontent is factors of production. There are four factors of production: labor, capital, technology, and natural resources. Labor is the most important factor, including both quantity and quality aspects. Capital is not something like London or Hanoi. Capital is, for example, land, machines, tools, factories. Technology includes artificial intelligence, blockchain, or big data. Natural resources include gas, oil, forests, or minerals.